In just a couple of days, 2019 will be done and dusted. But it's not just the new year we're counting down to, it's the end of a decade. For the past 10 years, we've been bringing you the biggest news stories, unforgettable events and the moments that made us laugh and cry. So here's the best of the 2010s.
It started out, as it always does, with a bang. And since then, it's gone by in a flash.
The UK has voted to leave the European Union.
So in this fast-paced world, let's take time to stop and reflect on the biggest news events of the decade. It's hard to think of anyone who's made more headlines than Donald Trump. In the space of 10 years, he's gone from this...
You're fired.
...to this.
I am officially running for President of the United States, and we are going to make our country great again.
Defeating Hillary Clinton to become the 45th President of the United States of America.
The office of President of the United States. So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
But love him or hate him, he's changed the world.
We have developed a very special bond, so people are going to be very impressed, people are going to be very happy.
Brokering peace talks with North Korea's Little Rocket Man and ruffling the feathers of his international counterparts.
Well, he's two-faced.
He's also had more than a few scandals.
And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything.
Whatever you want.
Grab him by the...
That was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it.
And despite being impeached just a week ago,
Article 2 is adopted.
Trump doesn't plan on going anywhere anytime soon.
It doesn't really feel like we're being impeached, do you?
In 2013, we lost a leader who was far less divisive.
Our nation has lost its greatest son. Our people have lost a father.
South Africa celebrating the life of anti-apartheid revolutionary Nelson Mandela.
600 years of history has been turned on its head by the shock resignation of Pope Benedict XVI.
There was also an unusual changing of the guards at the Vatican. The Pope sensationally quitting and replaced by Pope Francis.
Fratelli e sorelle, buonasera.
Among the turmoil emerged some fresh-faced new influential figures. Malala Yousafzai turning Taliban terror into a platform for education.
They thought that the bullet would silence us, but they failed.
Greta Thunberg starting a climate rebellion.
How dare you! You have stolen my dreams and my childhood with your empty words.
And New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern restoring people's faith in political leaders.
There's too much work to do. To sit back and reflect too much, that takes too much time. I've just got to get on with it.
That's a hint for us to leave, I think.
No. Was that unsubtle? No.
Prime Minister.
The same might not be said about our Aussie politicians.
Labor's bitter leadership battle has finally come to a head.
This was no bloodless coup. Kevin Rudd reduced to tears as he lost the job he was elected to do.
Once again, Australians have gone to bed with one Prime Minister and woken up with another.
A week is a long time in politics, and the decade of the backstab brought with it 5 Prime Ministers in just 10 years.
I asked my colleagues to make a leadership change.
Rudd was knifed by Gillard.
What I'm less proud of is the fact that I have now blubbered.
I will not be lectured about sexism and misogyny by this man.
Gillard then ousted by Rudd.
The pressure finally got too great for many of my colleagues. I respect that.
Tony defeated Rudd at an election.
Our counter now says that the magic number 76 has been reached.
But Tony's party replaced him with Malcolm.
This is a tough day, but when you join the game, you accept the rules.
This is a turn of events I did not expect, I have to tell you.
Malcolm won the election but was pushed out of the top job by ScoMo.
What's it like waking up as Prime Minister?
Well, in all the events, I forgot to do my footy tips this week.
Keeping up? We also lost politicians for being dual citizens. Barnaby Joyce had a couple of babies to a staffer.
You just look at this two blue eyes staring up at the blue sky and staring back at you, and you look at Sebastian and you think, boy, man, you cause some problems.
And Pauline Hanson made a big comeback.
I've stuck with this because I believe in making a change for the people.
Why are you still in it? Why are you still in it? Look at you. Why don't you walk? Look at what it's doing to you.
Australia has been living up to its reputation as the land of droughts and flooding rain.
This is a capital city in Australia under siege.
Starting the decade off with cities underwater.
I've never seen anything like that amount of water rise so rapidly.
And some of the worst floods the country has ever seen.
I want us to remember who we are. We are Queenslanders. We're the people that they breed tough north of the border. We're the ones that they knock down and we get up again.
There were also cyclones.
It's all was washed straight out the back through the scrub here. Cars ended up over there.
Drought.
The period of time that this is lasting is longer than we've experienced before.
It's worse than anything in the media you're seeing. It's far worse.
And bushfires.
Street after street looks like this, obliterated by a lightning-fast fire.
Yeah, we're talking about 60, 70 metre flame height. 60, 70 metre flame height.
I know it's decimated, but that essence of our lives here is still here, isn't it?
Mother Nature packing a punch right around the world. A tsunami demolishing parts of Japan and sparking a nuclear disaster. Earthquakes levelling Haiti and Christchurch.
So we've just had another aftershock about 5 minutes after the big quake, and there is someone trapped up in the glass there.
And deadly volcanoes erupting without notice.
A desperate search is underway for MH Flight 370.
Disasters dominating news bulletins.
I just feel so awful. I just want to bring it back.
The disappearance of MH370 and 298 people on board is still a mystery. And in the same year, a second Malaysian Airlines plane was shot down over Ukraine.
The Boeing 777, charred and spread over 10 kilometres. Baggage, clothes, a holiday guidebook.
Killing all those on board.
And these were innocent people going about their lives.
"72 people lost their lives as a London apartment building went up in flames.
It's violent, it's just like an inferno.
And that thick black smoke billowing up can be seen from miles away.
And the world watched on in horror as Grenfell Tower burned. But for every tragedy, there's also stories of survival. 33 Chilean miners trapped for 69 days. Cheers of joy as they finally surfaced. And we all held our breath as a soccer team was delicately rescued from a flooded cave in Thailand.
We try everything.
Mission Impossible has become mission accomplished.
I'm innocent of these charges. They are false.
Abuse in the Catholic Church was finally brought into the light.
Cardinal Pell, it's been suggested that priests who sexually abuse children should get down on their bended knees, and ask for forgiveness.
As Australia's top Catholic, George Pell was put behind bars.
There's been another miracle in the court today.
He can burn in hell and he can rot in his jail cell.
Another young woman attacked and murdered at random while walking home late at night in Melbourne.
Several brutal attacks on women united Melbourne.
Yet again, we're here having a vigil like this. When is this going to stop?
And a missing boy in a Spider-Man suit. The search for William Tyrrell capturing the country's attention.
William's disappearance is a result of human intervention and not through misadventure.
While the world was no stranger to terror, this decade saw the Taliban dealt a blow with the death of Osama bin Laden.
I can report to the American people and to the world that the United States has conducted an operation that killed Osama bin Laden.
But the emergence of Islamic State brought with it lone wolf attacks around the world.
The city of Paris had come under a planned and coordinated attack. One of the world's most iconic avenues, now the latest killing field for Islamic State.
22 people are dead and close to 60 injured after an improvised explosive device blew up in the crowd at an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester.
Even Australia wasn't immune. The Sydney siege bringing the country to a standstill, and a hail of gunfire uniting the harbour city in tragedy.
Good evening. The heart of the city is in lockdown tonight after a man armed with a knife who was lunging at police was shot in front of terrified shoppers on Bourke Street.
Evil had a different face in Melbourne's Bourke Street Mall.
Pedestrians run for their lives, taking shelter in shops.
The car was coming full speed along the footpath. People were jumping out of the way.
And across the pond, a church massacre.
This is one of New Zealand's darkest days.
Devastating our nearest neighbour. Scenes of violence we've all become used to.
Do you know where the shooter is? We don't know, but we're entering the building. Oh my God!
They were firing from somewhere high, and they were unloading clip after clip after clip after clip.
Deadly shootings and gun laws driving debate in the United States.
The school is in lockdown.
They just told us that if you can't find your children, they're dead in the building.
Every time I think about those kids, it gets me mad.
Among all the chaos, people took to the streets to be heard. Marching for women.
This is what democracy looks like.
Climate change. Millions clashing with police. And while some were beaten down, others emerged successful.
61% of Australians in favour of marriage equality.
We can't forget about those Aussies in trouble overseas.
The power of people speaking up and resisting together terrifies corrupt and undemocratic power.
How was life being inside jail?
She's just so scared that she's caught up on the other side of the world for something she didn't do.
Some lost their fights.
I asked the president to please show mercy. Please don't let my mum and my sister have to bury my brother.
But others were lucky and got out.
How are you feeling, Rose?
This is a moment that I've rehearsed in my mind at least 400 times over the past, 400 days.
A new generation of royals emerged. 3 billion people tuning in to see the future king and queen tie the knot.
The first, more of a peck. The crowd won an encore.
Here we go.
Meghan and Harry gave them a run for their money.
And at the moment, taking off the veil, wow, said Harry.
And even Eugenie and her beau had the world watching. But while the Queen's Diamond Jubilee was a big deal, and the scandals didn't stop,
I have absolutely no memory of that photograph ever being taken.
it was the royal babies who stole the thunder.
Very emotional.
Very emotional, and it's such a special time. I think any parent, will probably know what this feeling feels like.
A new brood of prince and princesses capturing all our hearts. It's been a decade where even the news was news.
I'm not going to give you a question. You are fake news.
This is the most humble day of my life.
And our secrets were being sold.
I think it's pretty much impossible, I believe, to start a company in your dorm room and then grow it to be at the scale that we're at now without making some mistake.
But the world has never been more connected.
Yes, it's been an eventful 10 years, hasn't it? Let's hope there's some more peaceful times over the next 10. Tomorrow we'll bring you the biggest moments of the decade in sport.